Okay, it looks like it's live. I'm going to give it just a minute and make sure that it pops up and it's working like it's supposed to. And it looks like we're good. Sorry, I'm just about a minute late. I was all ready to go, and then I remembered I needed to run to the bathroom. So kind of a good idea to do that before you're stuck in front of the camera for an hour. And I didn't want to have to be like, time out, I gotta go into the bathroom. So all good to go now. And I figured 1 minute wouldn't be that big of a deal. And I just saw Kinnery is going to be behind the scenes moderating for us today, and she's just a minute or two behind. So she'll be right on here as well in a second. So hello, everybody. First of all, I'm going to say it's been a little while since, okay, let me just answer her real quick. All right. Last week we skipped our card making live because here in the US it was the 4th of July. So a little bit of a holiday. And the week before was Leah. Leah's on vacation these 2 weeks. So I thought you were going to see lots of me here for 2 weeks. And then I forgot that last Tuesday was a holiday. So just today. And I see Kinnery has popped in. So behind the Pinkfresh Studio name today, you can see her. She's going to be in the comments because, like I mentioned, Leah's still on vacation. And now that she's here, let's go ahead and go through a couple things so we can get started. I have a few things to do today, so I want to get rolling on them. I did remember just now to turn my hot foil machine on so it can start preheating. Sometimes I forget that, and then we have a little extra time. So first of all, I'm going to say hello and welcome, especially if you're new and this is your first time here. I want to say a special hello because it's just you ever have those days where you're just scattered and have a hard time focusing? I'm just going to be working hard to get through my card, and I know I will probably miss those comments. But if you are new here, please pop in the comments and just say hello. Let us know that you're new. We love to welcome you. And even if I miss it and don't see, and even if Kinnery misses behind the scenes, I saw she just said she's using her phone, so she might be slower to type. But everyone else here is awesome, and we'll welcome you and say a big hello as well. So we're glad you're here and glad that you've been able to join us today. We give away a $15 gift card, of course, every week. Kinnery will pick that at the end of our live today. The way you enter for that is just what all of everyone is doing already over there. Just leave lots of questions, comments in the chat, ask a question and I'll do my best to see and catch that. If I miss it, just ask again. Same with if Kinnery misses it. Between the two of us, just ask again. I promise we're not ignoring. Sometimes we just miss those as they go by. Chat with each other, just kind of have a good time visiting. If you know the answer to a question that someone else asked, feel free to pop in and answer that as well. And then one other way you can get an entry is by sharing this video. There's a little share button underneath. It's in different places on phones and computers, so I won't try and point at where it is because I always get it mixed up. But just click that little share button or grab the link up from your web browser and you can share it in a message or an email to a friend, a crafty friend that you think might have a good time watching along with us. You can share it on your own social media page, Facebook or Instagram. If you're part of a crafty group and you know it's allowed with the rules, feel free to share it there and then pop back in and leave a little comment. Let us know that you shared, and that will be an extra entry. And then one final thing that we really appreciate, it doesn't count as an entry in the giveaway, but if you hit that little thumbs up button, we're going through some changes on our emails and trying to get the word out on these. So try to kind of level back out again the viewers and everything. So clicking that helps with our reach and everything so that other people can find us both now on the live and also on the replay. And more friends are always fun. At least that's what I think. All right. One final thing, I was trying to think of anything I didn't cover. Everything I'm using today is linked in the video description. So if you have any questions or you're wondering what I used, you can refer to that. As always, feel free to ask in the comments. I'll show everything as I use it, but if you miss it or whatever, that's a great reference and it'll be available while it's live now, but it's also available on the replay. I can talk, I promise. And I think that's everything. So my hot foil machine looks like it's getting close to hot. So I'm going to go ahead and flip the camera around and show you what we're going to be using today. And then we'll see if we can go ahead and get started. All right. So I've got my hot foil machine. It should be popping on that platform ready any minute. But one thing we're going to use today, it's from our newest release. It's called the Lovely Blooms, and it's a fun little floral stamp set. Oh, and there we go. Just as I say that, my platform ready light came on. And I'm going to pair it up with one of my classic favorites of our essentials line, the nested arches. So we're going to go ahead and get that on there and let that start heating. And then I'm going to get my foil and cardstock ready here so that we're all set to get that foiled as soon as it goes on there. I'm just using, I'd say I'm just using because it's like the fallback classic everything foil. This is Aura from Spellbinders. And it's just a good classic gold. It's got, you can probably see it on here. It's got a little bit of a rainbow iridescence. So it's kind of my favorite, one of my favorite golds. And it used to be the one I just use all the time for everything. And I've branched out a little more to some others, but every now and then it's fun to just come back to the default. I'm using, Jimmy, I'm using the Glimmer hot foil system from Spellbinders. It's the one that I've used the most and have, you know, really great results with. So we always, I mean, there's a couple of them on the market, so kind of do your research if it's something you're interested in. It's a good way to kind of find out what you want to use. All right, this, it's my, everything's kind of squished on here, so bear with me a little, but my timer light just went off, so this is hot and ready to go. So I'm going to pop this loose from my machine. Then I'm going to grab my foil and lay it on there pretty side down. And then my cardstock on top. And then I've got my two shims. That one is the heat resistant one, and then the more clear one on top. And then we're going to run this through my Platinum 6. Right, and then just like Leah, I only run it one way through when I'm hot foiling because I feel like I get better results. Let's see how that worked. I definitely cut my foil plenty big enough. And not too bad. I noticed when I put my plates on, I kind of shifted when I moved over. So I was wondering if I'd messed that up a little bit at the bottom, but it's not too bad. I think I can live with that. I am going to go ahead because I'm not sure which one I want. I'm going to go ahead and do the reverse foil real quick. So let me pop that off and set that aside to cool. And then I'll grab my solid hot foil plate here and we'll get that heating up there. So we're going to give that a little time to warm up. Oops, get this out of the way. Grab another piece of cardstock. And while we wait for that to heat up, I'm going to check through any comments and see if I missed anything. I'm also going to put, whenever I use the solid foil plate, I always use an extra cardstock shim just for a little extra pressure. And I pop that between my plates. So getting that ready. So I'm ready to go. All right, let's see. Sherry, yes, hot foiling is very addictive. Allison, yay for lunch break. Thank you for sharing Donna on your Facebook feed. Yes, I know we are working on wish list behind the scenes, so hopefully that'll be up soon. But yes, Deb, the arches are one of my favorites. They're really great with the coordinating dies and all of the options on there. Like I said, I feel like they're also one of my favorites. The nested product and then all of the sentiments, those are my favorites as far as which ones I love to solid foil the reverse. I do like it for all of like the florals and everything too, but I find I use those and I do enjoy those, but I more especially enjoy the solid foil of, like I said, the nested shapes, whether it's the arches or the circles or the hexagons, and also the sentiments. Something about just the reverse of those really ends up being one of my favorites. This is going to take a little longer to heat up than, or at least it feels like longer than normal. Let's see, is there anything else that we should talk about or get ready to do while this takes its time? There it is. Okay, the platform's ready. So now we just need to wait for it to heat up. Now, while it does that, I'm going to get the video pulled up on my phone because then I can see everything easier. Right now, it's kind of a down moment, so I was able to just keep an eye on comments on my computer. Sometimes it's nicer to see. There we go. Now I can see those comments in another spot so I don't miss as many. You couldn't use it for Bible journaling. Do you mean, if you mean the hot foil machine? I don't really think there would be a good way to hot foil on the pages in your Bible. That would be my suspicion. Unless you did it on separate and cut it out to put in, you could probably do that. So, oh, Laura, you know what? I lurked and waited so long on foiling. And once I did, I couldn't figure out why I waited so long. So much fun. All right, I'm going to adjust a little bit here. We're going to pop this loose. That seems to be ready. And then we're going to put our leftover foil on there. Pop our cardstock on there. The 2 plates with the paper shim. I'm going to pull this on a little. And we're going to go, this time we're going to go forward and back. Because the solid hot foil plate, I found that a little more time, a little more heat, a little more pressure, all of those things work together really well to get the best possible result. All right, let's see how that worked. Perfect. Because I had a tiny bit, because I shifted and had a little bit of under and over foiling on the bottom there, I've got a tiny, tiny bit of like speckling and imperfection, but that's going to be covered with my florals. And then as I'm crumpling this up, look at how great this is now, that whole piece of foil. You have so much left to waste and throw away. All right, let me move a few things out of the way here. We can now unplug this. We're all done there. Done our hot foiling for today. I'm going to move this all off my desk for now. Anyone else have a squishy craft room so you have to put stuff on the floor to get it out of the way? Yeah. And I know Kinnery will probably answer that question about the inks, but we have a date in September now. We did, unfortunately, we hoped to release them in July, but there ended up, we just had to get them perfect before we release. So I promise it'll be worth the wait. We just had to get it just right. All right, you can probably really see that rainbow effect now on this, that little hint of rainbow tone in the gold. So we've got both of these versions. I'm gonna just set these aside for now. We'll do all of our die cutting at the end, and then we can decide how we want to use these. But for now, I'm going to switch over here. We're going to pull out this lovely bloom set and go ahead and get started on our stamping and our stenciling here. Now, I really debated on whether I wanted to stamp, whether I wanted to heat emboss, and I did finally, I think, conclude I'm going to stick with the stamping version today. So of course I'm going to be restamping at the end, but we're going to pull off these florals for now to get a start. And let's just kind of get these lined up on here. And then we're going to need the stencils here in a moment, so we'll get those out and ready as well. And move some of these other things out of my way. All right, so I'm going to start by stamping today in dough ink. Yep, Allison, I see that Kinnery already answered. That was Aura Hot Foil. Okay, so we're going to stamp this in brown. I think I'm going to restamp in a darker brown at the end to finish. I actually thought about heat embossing in white, but I decided not to, just because I think that'll be really hard to show up on the video, and I didn't want to do that to you guys. So we're going to stamp this in brown ink for now. Just one stamp, and notice I was really careful to get this lined up in this corner because I want to restamp at the end. So I want to be able to line it up perfectly and get that perfect restamp image. So I'm going to leave this in here, make sure it's all ready to go in a little bit. And that's that way. And then we'll get started. And I just saw someone pop in and say their first live. Kind of flew by there, but I did see that come by. So welcome, and I wasn't sure if I'd see all of those come through. So All right, now we've got our stencils. This is a 6-piece stencil set because you have all of the different colors. My preference, I like to put a little bit of, this is Post-it tape, just easily removable tape on the back of my panel with the sticky side facing up. That way, when I grab my stencil to line up, it's really easy to hold it in place. So that's kind of my favorite way to do it. I know some people prefer to tape the panel down and then tape the stencil down over the top. I like to be able to wiggle around and move it wherever I want to. Okay, so this, we're gonna start. I'm doing some non-traditional colors a little bit today. I'm gonna start with blues for the stems and the greenery. Yes, Lori, we love our layering stencils, so we know that we're gonna make sure we have coordinating product for them. All right, what we need, I don't think I've used a blending brush yet, so I'm starting a brand new one. Should I get the right one? Actually, I think that might be my gray. That one's my gray, so I need to get the right one. I've got one more brand new one. This is the final color family. I don't think I've used my little mini blending brushes. All right, so we're going to use Slumber, and I want to keep it kind of soft. And you know what? I think I taped that down, and then I think it shifted a little bit when I finally stuck it down. So there we go. Fix that a little bit. So I'm going to use Slumber, and it's kind of a pretty and deep blue. So I'm going to kind of go soft so I don't end up with too much color. But I'm going to keep my deepest color at the base of those flowers and kind of soften out as I go out to the back. The reason I'm choosing to do that, there's not necessarily always a specific rhyme or reason, but I'm keeping the deeper shade kind of up where the blooms are, because it feels like a spot that there would be more shadow and shading effect, if that makes sense. I'm going to keep that deep color up at the top again, and then just kind of fade it out as we move down the stems so that I get a little bit of a dimensional effect. And I love just kind of mixing up the colors and doing non-traditional. I've done aquas, we've done browns for the greenery and different blues, but I haven't done kind of quite this color combo before. So I'm kind of excited to see how it turns out. Okay, so again, that was Slumber. Okay. The questions there about hot foil plates. Yeah, they are not designed for die cutting. I think Kittery just explained really well why. All right, let's see how that first layer of the greenery came out. So pretty. So this is just kind of your basic first layer, but we're going to go ahead and add on our next one here. Same time. And I notice on this one, it mainly just is kind of hitting on the stamped extra lines on there. So we're going to go nice and dark for this one. Let's move up to our darker shades here. And I'm going to go ahead and do, actually, you know what, we'll just use, think about this one. I've already got kind of a deep blue one, so I don't know what color's on there already, but we'll just switch over to that. I'm switching color families. Slumber is the lightest in one of the color families, and Storm is the darkest in a different color family, but I feel like they blend really well together. So I really like to use them together when I can. And I'm not worried so much about on this layer keeping darker and lighter areas, because these are really fine, tiny detail outlines. I just want to make sure I get some color into all of them, nothing too fancy. So. All right. Let's get that cleaned off. And let's see how that greenery, isn't that second layer super fun? How it just adds that detail in there. Okay. Now we're going to move on to the first of our floral layers. And I'm going to mix up the traditional and non-traditional a little bit again here. So for these florals, get a little different. We're going to go for some tans. We're going to use a warm buff for our first one. That brush out. And let's get some start of some color here. And again, I'm going to kind of do some variation, I promise I can talk today, and some shading on these. I'm going to kind of keep some certain areas a little bit darker and some a little bit softer. And I'm kind of following the same as what I did on the greenery, since I did underneath, like on the part that was under the blooms, I'm also doing the bottom of the blooms in that slightly darker shading so that I can keep that same sort of feel, like the top is pointing up to the light and then it kind of, the shading hits as it goes down. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm not any kind of professional on any of those things. I just kind of do what seems logical and makes sense. And you know what? It doesn't have to be anything scientific. No one's going to know any better. All right, so let's see how this first layer on the florals came out. Oh, I love that. The browns are just such a unique kind of, we're going to brighten it up with another color here at the end, but for now, I'm just going to kind of enjoy this color combo and how it's coming out. So let's get, this is stencil 4. I'm just kind of sticking with the stencils in their order today. I'm not mixing anything up. We're just kind of going from A to B and moving right through. I think this one I accidentally used one time for purple, but it's my brown brush, so we're just going to kind of let that fix itself. So we're moving on to dough, which is kind of the next color up in this color family. I'm using this to add our little bit of detail on here. These ones, nothing is fancy. This one's probably the one I'm working to make sure I get a little bit of shading on. Okay. I know we often use warm buff for stamping and stuff, but sometimes I forget about it for ink blending. And I know I've used it for greenery. I don't know that I've ever actually used it for the flower layers. So kind of a fun. All right. We're coming together. Those browns are so warm and cozy. I just love that. All right. We are on to our final floral layers. And this is where we're going to break out a favorite. Current favorite anyway. Let's get that layered in place. Now we're going to add a little bit of brightness. So we're going to pivot over to Coral Reef for this layer. So heading back to a little bit of traditional mixed with the non-traditional. Oops, let me get my right brush for all my different sets of brushes. So I got to find the right one. Okay, my Coral Reef brush. And let's start adding some color, same as before. This color combo, kind of the rough idea of it, was just a Pinterest color combo that I came across. I went looking, sometimes it's just easy to get stuck in a rut with your color combos. So I love to just go on Pinterest and say something like, I'm doing florals, I'll look for a floral color combo. If it's a holiday card or like a really spring theme card, I'll look for something along those lines. And this time I just did floral color combos, and it's not like the flowers were in this, but it was these colors and it just kind of inspired me. So I decided to go with that for today. Going a little bit bold on these just to kind of fit with our bolder colors and making sure I have a good layer of color down there. All right, let's Yeah, super duper excited about our ink storage too. I see a good little conversation going about that. All right, we are almost done. Don't you love how, I mean, the browns and the blues were really pretty and we could have stuck with more neutrals, but I love that pop of pink that brings in there. So much fun. All right, we've got one final layer. That's all of the final details that we have to add on here. And I think this is gonna work really well. I wasn't quite sure. I was trying to pick the color combos. Now I could mask off and do like the two brown spots in a different color, but I think this pink is gonna layer really well with those browns. So we're just gonna kind of stick with it and give it a try this time and see what happens. Yes, whoever was talking about that, Deb, Warm Buff, we started calling it faux gold for stamping. So, all right. So we're going to use a little bit of passion fruit here. And we're going to just add that into all of our spots here. See how that layers over the browns, because I think it'll be quite lovely. All right. You're ready for that final magic reveal. Clean up a couple things out of the way here. And then clean a little bit of that extra ink off of here. And then let's see how this final one looks. How fun is that? So different and unique on the colors. I just love it. All right, now this is where, let's save my tape. I need to restamp over the top here. I'll pull that Misty back out. And this is where I'm trying to decide. I actually think I'm gonna just stick with that same dough ink that I already stamped in. I did pull out espresso because I was debating on going dark. But I'm kind of liking that soft look and the brown tones. So I'm gonna go ahead and just stick with that one for now. And it looks really pretty, even the way it is, but I just love the crisp look when you stamp at the end and you get that. Make sure that looks like that lines up good. See how that does. Yay, it worked. Do you see? I hope you can see just how that, it's the exact same ink, but it just adds that really crisp, nice outline at the end. After you've ink blended, I mean, it all stays on there, but it just feels like it starts to kind of soften up with all the ink blending over it. So when you give a good stamp at the end, now twice is fine, but I'm just going to really make sure it's on there good. We'll do a third stamp just for fun, because why not? I love that final result, and a totally different, I don't think I've ever done a color combo like that before. So kind of I love, as I'm still waiting for all of our new inks and all the new color combos, they're coming. It's always fun to kind of shake up the inks that we have a little bit and try something new. All right, I'm just going to clean up and put this away because yes, that second stamping really does make it stop. Pop. Not stop. Oh, Alyssa, that's awesome. Light brown and the curtains are blue. Now all you need to do is add a pop of pink and it would match this card today. All right, let's go ahead and get these florals die cut out. And then we'll do a few other little bits of die cutting and go from there. But let's go ahead. I've got my Post-it tape saved here still. So let's just take a little time, get that one piece die lined up over the florals. This is my first time using this set as well, and I really love these pretty florals. If I'm correct, the design of these florals kind of came from our paper collection called Lovely Blooms. All right, I'm gonna grab my plates here. I'm gonna run and die cut this off screen and be right back. Okay. Pretty pieces out of here. You know what? So just take, there we go. Sometimes it's just helpful to get that off, save that tape, and we can reuse that again. All right. That guy out of the way here. And then I'm going to grab my embellishment tool here, and let's go ahead and just take those little chads out is what they're called, those little inner pieces, the technical term. And those are, I feel like, what makes the dies really super helpful. You could fussy cut, but you can't get those out, and it just adds so much to the design that I love. All right, so now we've got all of those pretty florals, and I do love, I think the red over the brown worked just fine. Good complementary colors. All right, now we have a little more die cutting. We still have these arches. I'm going to die cut them both because I'm still not sure which one I want to use. So let's do, I'm going to start with the inner because I'm not sure if I want to cut the outer or not. So we're going to just start with some little bitty pieces there. I don't want to tape on the foil and take that out. So we're going to just only tape on the inside. So there's one. I'll be right back with this. Okay, so there's that center cut out of that. Let's repeat the same thing here. Put my pieces of tape there just for fun while we get this centered. This one, I suspect I'm more likely to use, I'm not gonna leave the outer edge, I don't think, but I'm not sure yet. So we'll just tape that one in place for now and just do, you know what, actually I'll just do the outer on this one too, because I know if I use this one, I probably will just use centerpiece. Okay, then we can save some time on our die cutting. All right. So here we have this one. We've got lots and lots of options coming together here. Okay. We'll hold on to that die for a minute, decide if we need to die cut that in a few or not. Now let's just get those out of the way. Save these pieces on the side as well. Those will all probably get used for something else. All right, and then what's the last thing? We have one more thing to die cut here. I'm going to use the Floral Grid as kind of a back for this, and that's kind of why I'm trying to decide. So I'm going to pop this on a panel of A2 cardstock. I'm also going to use our favorite bubble wrap trick. Any bubble wrap that you happen to have on hand helps make these dies cut so nicely and gets all those details in there. You haven't tried that, so just bubble wrap down paper and then the die on top, and then die cut that again. I'll be right back. Now, real quick, if you haven't joined our lives before or heard that trick, I'll explain that one a little bit real quick. I think that finishes our die cutting. So we've discovered sometimes with these more intricate dies like this one's not too bad. Some of them are a lot more intricate. Putting bubble wrap on helps give you that perfect clean cut. I did notice I have a problem here that I should have put this the other way. I think we're okay though. There was a little bit of adhesive on there, so it ripped the back ever so slightly, but that's okay. And you can use any bubble mailer. It still didn't quite pop them out, but at least it made sure they were all cut through really well. And now they pop out super easy. I was gonna die cut this in advance, but I was just running enough behind this morning that I didn't get that done. But you know what? This won't take that long with this handy little tool to pop them out. A lot of times when I do that with the bubble wrap, I think if it hadn't stuck to the tape on there, it probably would have done it more normally, but it'll just keep all those little pieces out of there. I believe Leah has said the more plasticky ones catch them a little bit better, but I don't remember which way that went. So we'll just slide there and get all those out. Almost make confetti with all those little pieces and put it in a shaker or something. I'm not that dedicated, so I'm not going to save all those, but it would be kind of fun. It almost looks like little seeds or something. And actually, like, as much as sometimes this can be tedious, it can also be kind of relaxing in that, I don't know, just sitting and poking those out. I'm poking them really fast here to try and get done since we've got things to finish and you guys don't want to spend all day sitting and watching me. But if you were just sitting and taking your time, I could see that being really fun and relaxing as well. So it's just satisfying when they're all cut through well and you know that they'll just pop out easy. Okay, a few little ones that just didn't fall out when I poked them out, but I think we got those all out now. Now, clean up all that mess. Jean, it's not bubble wrap, it's a bubble mailer. I don't know if I haven't tried it with just bubble wrap, but just like the padded bubble mailers. So just kind of your standard. I mean, anything from just like the manila, that one happened to be a white one. Even just your Amazon, the kind of more plasticky ones. They all work. I just kind of use them interchangeably. So, okay, here's where the decision comes in. I think I want to leave the outer part on this and just use that to tuck those florals in. That's kind of what I'm leaning towards, that really clean look. So I guess that means one more bit of die cutting. Where did I, oh, you know what? I don't know if I got it out yet. Hold on, 1 second. There we go. At least it was easy to find. I'm gonna pull out my stitched rectangles and we'll do a quick die cut on the outer this one to get our perfect shaped frame. And then I guess we still have our sentiment that we'll have to stamp and die cut. I haven't gotten to that yet, so we'll figure that one out in a minute too. All right, I'm going to line this up. I'm using the bottom edge and the sides of the arch to line up the rectangles, make sure I've got it square on those because the paper's crooked and my grid and everything, so it can get. Marcia, the cardstock is touching the bubble wrap. Or no, I guess it's touching the paper side of it. So it's the bubble wrap down with the paper side up or the plastic. It's not like where you can see the bubbles. I haven't tried it the other way. It might very well work fine that way. And then the paper and then the die on top is kind of the sandwich. All right, let's die cut this and then see what we want to do. Okay. There's our die cut panel here, all ready for us. Away. Okay, and now we'll want to trim this down a little bit to fit behind there. just so it's the right size. But that is really fun. And then I've got, pretty sure this card base will work. I've got a pink card base that will just allow a little bit of color to kind of peek through there. But let's go ahead and trim off a little bit of this just to get it down to size so it fits on kind of tucked behind that arch that we have. Not too much, just a little bit off of each side. Nothing too crazy. To be plenty. I know I'm seeing all the comments about the bubble wrap. It's such a magical trick. And I tell everyone I found it on, you know, when you hop onto Instagram and you're just kind of scrolling along and you see something and then it updates and slides past before you look up to see who did it. I was just kind of watching the reel and someone was showing, and I didn't even see the finish. I just saw him using bubble wrap. So I had to test it out and try it. So I really wish I could credit who I saw it from first. And I can't, and I keep hoping maybe someone will watch a live someday when I say that and say, that was me that did that. So if that is ever you, please tell me. I would love to give credit to that person. But in the meantime, I just say it's not my idea, but it's a pretty great one. So, all right. So we've got this all ready to go here. And we're going to use this to kind of tuck our florals into. I haven't quite decided how yet. I'm kind of thinking of, I don't know, debating on that one up there and kind of nestling that one in there. And maybe, I don't know, I decided whether that one there or maybe up along the side there. I'm gonna play with this a little until I find kind of where I want it. This also could kind of tuck in there maybe. Ooh, I think I might like that. Also, I just have to try just to see. You know, that's pretty too, but I think I like that better down there. So then we can start layering all that together. Sentiment. That's the other thing we're going to need. Let's grab this and just start playing. I almost kind of like that really tiny, simple one. I do like that one. I don't know. That one's pretty good too. I think we might have to go with that one. Let's go ahead and stamp both of those out and then we can decide. And I'm going to stamp them. We are going to pull out that espresso ink for this because I think that might be a good fit. And then I've got lots of little paper scraps that I like to pull out and use for sentiments, just from when I trim my cardstock panels down. So pop that one there. Use this one, we'll just kind of trim it down. Down there. And let's use that espresso ink to get a nice. I'm stamping very gentle. I'm using my stamp press for even pressure, but that's a little, I think I had a little fuzz on that one, so I might have to re-stamp that one, but I might really like the, we'll see if that re-stamps better. No, I'm going to redo that because I don't think I like that second stamping on there. I feel like that just got a little too dark and bold and lost its fine, dainty detail there. I like to be, especially when I'm using a colored ink, I feel like it's better to really keep that super soft touch. In fact, I'm going to just do that and not even use that stamp press. And you know what? I got one more. Okay. Clearly I've got fuzz on my desk somewhere, but we might stamp this one more time just to get it perfect. This like fingertip touching. That's better. Better. I'm going to do one more and just see if I finally got it without any fuzz on there and I could get it a good impression on the first one. Then we'll just pick which one we want to use. Yay for scraps, right? Okay, it's looking better. still going to do a tiny, tiny bit of just like the softest ever stamping, just like, I mean, if you could see, I'm just doing like a feather touch there. I think that one's going to be my favorite. So worth the extra time to put in. Oh, Lisa, of course, it is always available for replay. It's okay. I almost lost track of, and I was the one who had to do the live today. So happens to me all the time. All right, let's go ahead and go back over to those coordinating dies to cut out this sentiment. Got the extras there, we'll just save for another day. Pull out that little coordinating one there, and I've still got some scraps of my Post-it tape to hold that in place. All right, one last little die cut here. I'll be right back. All right, let's pop that out. Yes, Leah is still on vacation, so we have Henry behind the scenes moderating today. That is correct. All right. We'll just pop this off for now and get that on there. And then I don't think we'll use this sentiment, but I am going to just trim it down in case I change my mind and decide to use it. You just never know. Always like to be prepared, so. Use the paper trimmer like this so I can see where those lines cut really well. Make sure I get it straight. And then just trim off the sides down to a little tiny square so that my options are ready if I decide to use this one. Or both, you never know. These could almost work well together too. And you know what? Surge Pilot, I don't know if I'm saying that right. That is one of my favorite things about Pinkfresh is the combination of fonts. Not to mention, how great is that sentiment? We can probably all think of someone that would be perfect for. All right. And I really do think I am going to use that sentiment, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to use that other one unless I tuck it on the inside. So we'll just save that for another day, but I really do love that sentiment. And I feel like that font just fits on there really, really well. So now it's just time to glue everything down. And I didn't even pull out any bling yet and plan anything on that. So we're going to have to decide what we want to use there as well. So for now, let's get these florals out of the way, get that sentiment out of the way. And I'm going to get a little bit of foam adhesive on the back of this. I do want this directly down on my card base so you can see that a little bit better, the pink through it. I'm going to do a little bit of trimming down. I could use my pre-done strips of foam adhesive, but I think this is going to work just fine and save a little bit of effort. So excuse the squeaky foam tape here as I trim it down. A little tiny bit extra there that we don't need. And trim this a little bit smaller than I meant to, so we'll just, oh, that ended up being perfect. Now catch a little tiny bit in those little holes. And we'll just save the extra for later. Okay. And this foam layer is pulled off. And then I'll use some liquid glue to just adhere this whole thing down onto my card base. But for now, let's go ahead and just line this up behind here, stuck onto that foam tape. Now it's going to be really easy just to pull out my liquid glue. And yes, I will be tucking, I'll trim my florals down as needed to tuck them in there. I think I've got enough room to squeeze them and I can just kind of trim them down. I don't have to have them go all the way through. And I could run, you know, like a tape runner along here or whatever. Ooh, there's a little rogue chat on there. But this will make it a little easier, I think, to wiggle it into place with that liquid glue and make sure I have it centered on my card base. And it's all going to hide behind that front panel. So that'll work really well, I think. All right, got the card base. Oh, that was really close. Almost had an upside down arch. I guess that wouldn't have been the end of the world, but would have been a little bit of a surprise. Right, and then I can slide that, like I said, so I can get it right where I want it there. And make sure it's perfectly centered and wiggle it a little bit if I need to adjust. Perfect. And then look at, we've already got our little bit of dimension there. That makes that fun. So we already know we want to tuck this in up here. So I'm going to start just doing a little bit of surgery and trimming off on those florals a little bit. Get them in there where I want. I think I want just a little more off of there. Get it tucked in there where I want. Kind of angling it so those flowers pop up around there. Put off the bottom there. A little bit more. I'm just cutting it in little tidbits so that I don't cut off more than I want to. This one doesn't matter as much because it's gonna kind of pop behind there to pop around. I want just a smidge more up at the bottom there. Just to tuck a little further down in there. There we go. All right, we're gonna kind of nestle, angle that just a little bit more that way so that we can tuck it a little more angled that way. Hang it off that edge a little bit more, and then we'll have the perfect little spot to nestle our sentiment. Okay, let's get these kind of curved up a little bit, and I'm going to use a little bit of foam adhesive on the outer layers and a little bit of liquid glue on the bottom to stick them down. Make sure to pull the backing off there. And then I can kind of wiggle around that bottom where I've put the liquid glue and then push in the foam adhesive when I'm happy and settled with where it is. And then I'm leaving this floating free a little bit so I get that dimensional feel there. And then this one, we're going to do the same thing. Kind of fluff up those edges. And then we're going to put some foam pieces on those outer florals there. Probably have used a smaller one, but I think that'll work. The liquid glue. Oops, I don't think I wanted glue there on that. So did I pull off? Yes, I did. I'll be content there where that is. Bottom part down and leave the flower and those leaves floating up a little, but the base kind of adhered down. And then we just need to nestle this in there. Back there. Yep. This one, I think I'm just gonna use a little bit of liquid glue. So I think that's gonna nestle in there just fine without any extra help. And then it'll just kind of curve along that arch all by itself. All right. So we've got our florals on there. Now we just need to add our sentiment right there. And I really do kind of like that nestled in. Although, you know what? It does look really nice up there on top of the florals. Yeah, I was thinking down there, but now I'm having second thoughts here. So I'm gonna have to look at this one for a minute and think about. Let's see. So option A down there, option B up on the floor. You know what? Now that I'm looking at it, I do like it better down here. It just pops more. in that little open spot. So let's grab some of the thin little paper strips here. And I'm only going to put it on that center part there. So I only need a little bit there where it's going to overlap. I don't need to catch that with foam. And it's not going to lay level. I'm just going to make sure I hit those little areas. And then before I peel the backing off, I'll confirm that I like that placement and that my foam is in the right spots. That looks good. All right, I missed something. I don't know who was looking at sympathy card stuff, but whatever's going on, Laura, I'm gonna say I'm sorry. All right, nestle that one in there. And I like that. That's the perfect little spot for it. I'm gonna put my lid back on this, and then let's break out. I didn't look at all the embellishments and everything right now, so I don't know for sure. I think everything's in stock, but I didn't look. So I'm just going to kind of hope that I'm debating on, there we go. Just thinking about these Starry Sky glitter drops. I feel like those are kind of a good color. Maybe some of the pixie dust. This might be a good combination. Or just trying to see. What do we want to put on there? No, not gold. Unless we do champagne could work. Like that might be really pretty on there. No, not gold. And aside from that, if you pink, I think I'm liking one of these options. I'm going to narrow it down before I get myself too carried away here. So let's try the champagne first. And yeah, Starry Sky. So I'm going to pull out. That's why I have several of these little triangle trays, because then I can pick which ones I want to put on there. Yeah, Starry Skies was my first spot, but let's see once we get it on here if that. Oops, so messy. Where did I put my? There it is. My little tool here. Let's get this out, and I think those blues might be really fun because there's a lot of pink and a lot of brown with the gold. And then we've got that greenery. So let's just see what we think about. Some of those in there. Just have to bear with me now because this is where I get really quiet while I concentrate and focus on where I want to put these. I'm debating on, I really am liking these blues on here. So I have a feeling that this is probably going to be the direction we go. Yes, okay, another little one there. Let's see about a little trio up there. I just like that little opening and it feels like a good spot. I think that's a good size combo. And let's think about, we might play with, oops, some in the center. A couple of the flowers. I'm not entirely sure there. I'm still debating on that. I don't think I like that on there. That's definitely too big. Nope, I really don't like, this one's not bad, but I don't really like it on the others. So I think I'm not going to do it on any of them. Sylvia, these trays are in our store and they are linked as well. So you can find them in our online store. Let me check these. I might like these on there. Let's see what we think. playing with the idea here to see what we like them on there. Actually, you know what? That's not too bad. I think I need a bigger. Have one that's any bigger. I might be out of the largest size piece, so this might be all we have for there, and that's okay. Then we could put those little bitties on there and on there. Maybe on there. You know, I kind of like that. I feel like that's a good little extra. And I still like the blues up there, but I think that's enough of the blues. I don't think I need any more. It'd be easy to get tempted and think about like a few of the centers of these little flowers, but I really think that's just going to be too much tucking those in there. So I'm going to leave that alone and just do the blue up there and that and call that good. So, and we're just a minute or two over. So I'm going to stick these down fast so I can show you a close-up of this card. But considering we hot foiled and ink blended and stamped and did a pile of die cutting because I didn't get it done in advance to save time, I think we did pretty good. You can be happy with that. 2 minutes over, and I was about a minute late, so we're really doing okay. Okay, stick these down. Never know, I might find another spot to put more, but I'm feeling like this is pretty good. Like that's it. Oops, it's enough of those. All right, my thing back in there, and then let's do a closer look at this. All right, and then I'll flip the camera around and we'll let Kinnery announce our winner for the day. And thank you everyone for joining and watching me craft and play with a new fun color combo. Let's see, there we go. Pick the right camera when there's so many choices. All the little scraps there. All right, and right on time, I see Kinnery's announced the winner, Diane Lorello. You are today's winner. Congratulations. Email Leah at pinkfreshstudio.com. It's in the comment there. Her name is just Lea. There's no H on the end. And keep in mind, she's on vacation this week, so she'll start getting back to everybody next week. So it might take her a little longer than normal to respond to you. So give some time. We've got a release at the end of the month, so at least you should have it in time for that. And thank you again, everybody, for joining. We will see you next week. I believe it'll be Leah back live next Tuesday, and I'll be able to see you guys in the comments. Don't forget, we do have our scrapbooking live this Thursday. It's going to be Natalie this week, I'm pretty sure. I'll be moderating the comments there. We do give away a $15 gift card. So I hope you'll join us for that. There's always really great techniques and ideas that you can even incorporate in card making if you're not a scrapbooker, or maybe we'll hook you and pull you into that dark tunnel as well of scrapbooking. And then we also have Craft Hour this Saturday with Jeff Lindbergh and someone special from our design team. So don't miss that. Plan ahead and set aside your hour, same time, same place, just Saturday. And I'll also see you in the comments there. So you'll be seeing me a lot behind the camera after this. So have a great week, everybody. I hope you get some sunshine and enjoy some summery weather. And I will see you all again soon.